Hi guys, I had a request a few weeks ago for a nail header, and as usual up till then I had no idea what one was, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to make it out of this bit of steel, no idea what it is, although I know it's pretty hard because for two reasons. One is the sound. Real high ring. And the second is I couldn't cut it with a hacksaw, had to cut it off with a disc cutter. And thirdly, the spark test, it's real bright sparks. Anyway, we're going to start off by bumping up this end. Once that's done, then we'll sort of thin it out slightly behind it so that we get a big lump on the end. So let's get it warm and give it a go. And so I've never heard of one of these before, so I had to Google it. So bear with me. Don't know if anyone would actually use one of these days. It's the sort of thing you'd find in a junk shop and wonder what it was. Alright, you can see that starting to thicken up there. Try and keep it sort of straight. You don't want it to go all over the place. And actually this hammer's not really heavy enough, so I think I'll try the bigger one. Give that a go. Otherwise we'll be here all day. And as usual, time is short for me. This time of the year, it's a busy time. Right. Let's give it a go with a big one, that's better. You can see how that's really making it into a nice little elephant's foot on the end there. Flatten it down a bit, because I do eventually want to end up with a sort of a penny end on there. You can see how that hammer's moving the floor. Jogging the camera. Just take the corners off because we will eventually now round this up. I think back to the small hammer and we'll start necking it down behind the jumped up bit. Do that over the rounded edge there so we don't get any cuts that we can't get rid of in the neck. So hold it, just round the corners off a bit more, but then hold it just over the edge and give it some. Again, this hammer's no good. This stuff is quite tough. I don't know what it is, but it's a little bit tougher than ordinary mild steel, which I guess is what we want. Whether it'll actually be any good, this steel, for the job, whether it'll harden again, or whether it'll be hard enough without hardening it, we'll see. You can see the sort of effect we're having. Just want to draw it down behind and then eventually we'll round that end right up. This isn't actually as hot as it looks. I forgot to put the IR filter on, so doesn't, to my eye, look as bright as this when I'm working it. Now I'm just going to flatten it down a bit. Just tidy up this neck. I'm not going to make the neck round because I want it to lay flat when I'm using it, so I still want it square on the bottom. Again over the rounded part of the anvil. You've seen me do that sort of action. It's coming round. And you've seen me do that sort of action in many of my other videos, making various shapes. all the same procedures, just in a different order. It's getting a bit warm to hold on to. I'm just going to cool that out before we carry on. Right. As you can tell, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I want to try and get this fairly round. It's not imperative that it's round, but I think it will help for what I'm planning to do with it, or for when it's being used as well, as much as anything. Just working right up to the neck, trying to take out any little hammer marks. I know you don't have to at this stage, but the neater you can keep it as you go along, the easier it is to clean it up at the end. You can keep it tidy as you go. Right, now you can see that's the sort of effect I wanted, sort of like a penny end. This camera will focus. There you go. It's not particularly pretty, but it's okay. Still got plenty of work to do on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Pritchel to punch a tapered hole in it. This is a Pritchel that I use for my shoemaking. It's just made out of an Allen wrench, so it's pretty tough stuff, but it's got quite a nice taper on it, which I think will do the job here. But what I'm going to do first is actually drill a little hole in the end of that penny as a guide. And hopefully I'll be able to sort of just drift it open basically. It's only sort of like a 1/8 of an inch hole, just enough to get the tip of that Pritchel in. And we'll just locate it, give it a few bangs. And I'm sorry about this, I didn't realise at the time that you couldn't see the Pritchel hole. You can see that's mullered the Pritchel. It's not used to going through such thick stuff. I use it for shoemaking, and it's A, it's a bit colder when I'm punching, and B, it's not as thick, so it puts up with it, it stands it. But there you can probably, if the camera will focus, see that it's just drifted out quite a nice, slightly rectangular hole, because the Pritchel is actually rectangular, because nail holes are rectangular, but I'm not going to make a square one just for this job. It won't harm. I'm just going to put it back in again, tidy up the hole. If you keep your tool in the hole when you are hammering, it just prevents it distorting. Otherwise you'll try rounding it up and you'll end up with your hole going flat. So that's just about what I want. You can see there, quite a nice hole. It's probably a little bit too tapered, but anyway, what I'm going to do now is tidy up I think again, using the Pritchel, I'm going to put it back in, knock it in, just tidy up, keep knocking it in because it keeps wanting to pop out, and give it a knock in, just tidy that up again. So it's not essential, but a bit anal like that. So just knock it out. Pull it out, I think that's probably will do for me. Right, so what I'm going to do now is chamfer off each side in all 4 directions, so that when you're making your nail you can move your hammer around to sort of spread the head without actually damaging the tool. That's the idea anyway. So you start at the front, just taper that down. I'm just tapering it up to the edge of the hole in each direction. That's each side. And just literally just up to the edge of the hole. Doesn't take a lot. Hopefully this will focus, you can see exactly what I mean. That's just taking that material away from the edge there where your hammer's gonna blow. So now what I need to do is get it level, because I don't want to be hitting it and it fly up and hit you in the face, because it's not level. So I'm going to level off the bottom there. That's why earlier on I said I wanted to keep that flat. So I'm just going to warm her up again. Just put a little bit more on the flat on the bottom. I guess it would take you a long while to make a couple of pound of nails with one of these, but I suppose in the old days, very, very old days, that's all they had. Still not quite level. You can understand, I think, what I mean by if you hit it and it's not level, that back end's going to fly up and hit you right in the face if you're not holding on properly. No, still not right. Can't seem to get that down far enough. Give it a belt that way. That's better. Still not quite there, but almost. No, that's pulled it up again. Should have left it alone. That's it. Got it. So, I'm going to clean it up just with a sander. Give it a clean up on each side, and then we'll give it a go. So here you are. I've just given it a very quick sand over. The sanding disc. You can see I haven't bothered taking any of the real marks out. Just want to tidy it up a bit. I haven't bothered to heat treat it. I would have done this, tapered this right out if it was for a job. Put a fancy end on it for hanging it up, but I haven't bothered, as this is just for a quick demo. As I say, I haven't heat treated it. I don't want to heat treat it in case it makes it too hard and it shatters, so I'm just going to try it without, just so that I can at least get one done to show you, and then I might heat treat it afterwards. I'm going to use a bit of 8mm, 5/16. Just going to draw it out into quite a long taper and cut it off and stick it in the header and give it a go. And so this tool, or the steel, might be good enough on its own without, it might be sort of like air hardening. On the other hand, it might not, but I want to get one done at least. I don't want to harden it, then put the first one in and it shatter. So I'll get one done. And you can see there, just rotating it 90 degrees, keep drawing it down, turn it 90 degrees so you keep it fairly square. Although, as I said, my hole is slightly rectangular, which I will try and take into account. Let's try it in the hole. Yeah, not much sticking through yet. I want a bit more than that. Warm that up again. Just bring it back a little bit further. Let's get the taper a little bit longer. Looks quite soft when you're doing it like that. You can see the difference between mild steel and that other stuff. This is pretty malleable when it's hot. Right, try it in the hole again. Still not quite enough. I want it definitely a bit longer than that. So I think what I'm going to do is put a bit of a step in it. You'll see what I mean in a second. With it being thin, it heats up pretty quick. Right, what you'll see now, I'm using the heel of the hammer a bit more. Put a step further up the sort of shank of the nail, so that the lower part of the nail is thinner than the top part, because I don't want the top half to drop through the hole. That's because the taper in the hole is a little bit too sharp. If I'd made a proper tool, it wouldn't have been quite so bad. Alright, so I'll cut it off, getting it warm, we're going to give it a go. Nicely over the Pritchell hole, warmed up that end. Just drop it in and give it a go. You can see now why you need those chamfers on the tool, because you can put a nice head on it, hitting it in all four directions, even just on the top. And that's it, and you don't damage the tool. And there you go, my first ever nail. If it'll focus. Come on, focus, focus, focus. First ever nail. It's not square, the head's not in the right place, but you get the idea. That's how they would have knocked out a few nails. So if it hadn't been quite so tapered, it might have come up a bit better, but you've got the general idea. So there it is, nail header and nail, my first ever. I'm going to give that a bit of a heat treat just to see if it hardens it up, because it is a little bit soft. I don't suppose anyone will use these. I don't know, cheaper to go down the store and get a pound of nails. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.